Hello everybody, I'm going to show you a graph that I have created using D3. As a part of my earlier work, I managed to save the repository and the work would still be relevant to showcase my skill set, showcase my skill set, showcase my skill set. So here it is. As you can see, we have a dashboard for a bunch of devices that transmit data. Just for your information, this is data about water levels. Uh, in the sidebar, what I have blurred out or censored out is the name of the device and the area where it is placed. That has been censored out over here as well, but you will still be able to get an idea of what the graph does. So the graph created using D3JS uh, is capable of a bunch of things. So first of all, what I'd like to show you in the graph is the ticks. You've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13. I think this number changes based on the kind of data we're dealing with. Okay, yes, it has been a while since I made this, but what is to be noticed is that at the very start and at the very end, the graph snaps shut, right? So the graph has styled itself based on the number of ticks that are available, and the ticks are pretty evenly spaced. And this and we also have grid lines indicating the I will turn off this tooltip just so I can demonstrate a little bit better. So we have grid lines that demonstrate exactly where along the tick we are, on the y-axis as well as on the x-axis. On the x-axis, also you have the ticks, and usually they would be snapping shut. By snapping, what I mean is that the last tick is at the very end of the graph, and the first one's at the very beginning of the graph. Now, yes, this might make it seem like um, the graph starts over here, and that could be considered a bug in the code, but uh, nonetheless, it does a good job of displaying the data in the range that has been selected. As you can see, these are date ranges starting from the 19th of February to the 7th of Jan, February, March, April, May, right? So to the 7th of May. That doesn't really mean that, of course, that we've gone really until the 7th of May. The graph lets you zoom into the data. So as I've zoomed in, you can see that the last data point, and I'm going to turn the tooltip back on now just to show you guys, is the 30th of April, so 4-5 days prior, right? So that device is still transmitting data. This is an IoT device, and yes, this is the last data point, and it tells you exactly through a very, I think, well designed tooltip, tells you exactly what that data value is and what the timestamp exactly is when the data was placed. Now, if you want to scroll along this graph, all I got to do is move my scroll bar, right, and then the tooltip will adjust accordingly. Now, because there are not a lot of data points here, this looks a little jagged, but if we take another device, this also looks kind of like that. Let's take this area over here, right? So as you can see, you can sort of touch on each single data point, and yes, we haven't really left any space at the top, so it, it touches exactly at the upper limit. However, there is a little bit of space at the bottom, so that's nice. And that's pretty much it. So what you can do on this graph is you can turn the tooltip on or off, There are other settings which have not been displayed over here, such as animation for the graph, where the graph tends to get drawn as a line. But yes, that is not a part of what I'm going to be displaying right now. The tooltip switches on or off. You've got the select to zoom, you've got the scroll to pan, as I had already showed you, right? And you can see how intelligently the x-axis is also moving along and fading in and out. All of this is thanks to D3JS. You've got right click to reset, so I right click and it goes right back to how it was, right? And you can also select a date range. So let's say we only want 28th to 30th of April. Now of course we could have just done something like this and we would have gotten 28th to 30th of April. But just for the sake of demonstration, let's say that we weren't able to, let's say we wanted it exactly from the beginning to the end and we don't want to move our mouse around and figure things out like that. So 28th to 30th of April, which is the 4th month. Okay, and we're going to look at the default data and we have it right over here. Right now it has snapped to that much. So now this is the main view, and now if I go in, I'm only going in on this part, right? And I like how it does it down to the very second. It does it down to every, I think, 15th of a second. So that's a pretty cool feature, right? I don't know if the tooltip will help you. I think it's, yeah, this is extrapolating and interpolating the data, but yeah, it's a very cool feature. And anything else to be, yes, the website I had made also, apart from default data, let you see hourly data. So if I select that and click view, then what we now see is data every hour. And I've got to turn my tooltip back on, right? So you can see 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock, right? It's only now interpolating the data between and drawing the line, and it is only taking the data every hour. So yes, that's why this looks different from, you can tell this looks like a smaller graph than the default data, which has a lot more of those edges going up and down. So yes, pretty cool feature, pretty intuitive graph. And yes, right clicking to reset is pretty interesting, because usually you right click anything else, you open this menu, but we have added quite a few mouse event listeners on this graph. So yes, I was excited to show this to you. I hope you enjoyed looking at this. Thank you.